Hi, this is Sarah with Sarah Loves to Stamp, and today I'm bringing you a Tool Time Thursday about sponging tools. I love to sponge my cards. I think it just adds so much to it, and scrapbook pages as well. And there are two main ways that I usually add ink to my pages through sponging. So the first way is with a sponge, and the second way is with a sponge dauber. I like both, and they provide very different looks, so just, be aware of that when you think about sponging. I do like the sponges for kind of a softer look, and the sponge daubers for more of a defined sponge look. The sponges come 3 to a package, so that you get 3 of these, and they come in a long package, so they'd be packaged like that. And then when I get them, the first thing I do is I cut them into 6 pieces. So I normally just kind of cut into the center and then eyeball it. And I'm using the craft and rubber scissors here. They're great for, obviously, rubber, especially when we had to cut our own, but I still use them to cut my stamps when I want to customize them. Alright, so I cut out about 1/6 of it. I know it's not perfect, and I know some will be bigger or smaller than others, but I just cut out a wedge like this, and then I just would pinch it here and dip it in or pounce it on my stamping pad, and then go ahead and sponge the edges, okay? And I'm just grabbing a random piece here, but I would sponge the edges like this, and I know I don't have anything on here, I could have showed you, but I just hold the piece of cardstock or designer paper and just sponge like that. I just kind of go along the edge and move the sponge and hold the paper still. So that's how I do that. And then the sponge daubers are kind of fun too. So the nice thing about these is that they're less messy because you can stick your finger in them, and I guess I have my band-aid on that one because my fingers hurt. But you do the same thing, just pounce it in your ink pad, and then same idea, just go along the edge, okay? So be careful that you don't tilt this one up too much, because since it is circular, it will give you a circle look if you're not a little bit careful. So just be aware of that. And then I wanted to show you how I store them. I store mine in like those embroidery floss cases. And as you can see, well, hopefully, I store them by family. So in this one, I have the Regals, or I'm sorry, collection, not family. I have the Regals and I have the Neutrals. And I have a few other things in here, like these are craft ones, so I keep them in baggies, because the ones that you use with craft ink pads will, they don't dry out as easily, so they will get all over stuff. And then I also do this to my sponges, and you may have seen that in another video. I kind of just jot the name of it on there, and if the name doesn't fit, like this one says, this is Elegant Eggplant, so it's egg. So I just abbreviate it. And then I also put the sponge dauber in here as well, if there's a sponge dauber that matches it. And I think this one is actually the Riding Hood red one. So anyway, that's how I store them. I like it. I have 2 cases, obviously, because I have one for the brights as well. So I put 2 colors in each spot. And then in my other one, I also have like the in colors over here, or there's space over here too. So that's kind of how I store them, and that's kind of my info on sponging. I love sponging. It adds so much to a card, and it's so easy. Like this, this card here. The edges are sponged in crumb cake, which just gives it a bit of definition there. And then the edges of this piece are sponged in early espresso. So it just gives it a lot of definition, adds a lot to your projects. Oh, and this is early espresso sponge too. And yeah, I just love it. It's just, it can give a real vintage or aged feel, or it can just be, for definition. So anyway, again, I just use the sponge dauber or the sponge depending on the look I'm going for. And sometimes when I try the sponge and it's not enough ink, I'll use the sponge dauber instead. So you can kind of play around with that. You do get, I believe you get 10 or 12 sponge daubers in a package. So I'll post that information, right over here and in the video so that you have that. Thanks for tuning in today, and I hope you'll join me next Thursday for another Tool Time Thursday. Have a great week.